everyone. Welcome to another episode of Cryptocurrent. Your host here, Richard Carthon. And today I got a very special guest all the way out in Toronto, Canada. We got Maggie with Jaxx. How are you doing today?
Hi, I'm doing very well. Thank you, Richard.
Of course. Well, excited to be learning more about you and the really cool DeFi project that you have going on with Jaxx. But before we get into that, how about you give us a little bit of background on yourself?
All right. Hi, everyone. My name's Maggie, and I am the co-founder of Jaxx DeFi. My background is in finance and law. So I had a undergrad finance specialist from University of Toronto, went on to get my JD, did a law degree here in Canada, and then worked in the blockchain over the last 3 years. So because of my legal background, first time I heard about smart contract, I got it right away. And I thought, wow, this could really replace a lot of the administrative work that lawyers or accountants or banks are doing. And started going to all the meetups I can find in Toronto. And that's when I joined Jaxx. Jaxx was the last blockchain company I worked with, has over 2 million users around the world. Wow. Eventually became the CEO. And that's when, during this work time is when I met Jin, my co-founder. And my other co-founder, Christine, I've known her since my undergrad days. We're both in finance together. So it's really interesting when you're doing a project you're very passionate with your close friends. And Jaxx DeFi, we're basically building the infrastructure layer for the open finance world. So if you think about decentralized finance, a lot of people are talking about dApps built on Ethereum.
Right, decentralized apps.
Exactly, decentralized apps, also known as dApps. Some people might be aware that Ethereum is pretty slow and pretty expensive. Yes. And that's why we want to build this alternative where it's going to be so much faster in terms of the transaction per second. It's going to be a lot cheaper. I will go into the details later. But basically, this is the project we're building right now, and very excited to be here and sharing this project with everyone.
For sure. Well, thank you for that background and giving us some more information on all that. And one of the things I definitely like asking all my speakers is, what was your first introduction into the crypto blockchain space? Like, when did you first hear about it?
So I first heard about it in, I would say, early 2016. Okay. And I first heard, so I like to do these, it's almost like idea groups. Yes. You get a bunch of interesting people together. You share what, lately what you've been working on or what's getting you excited in the news. And one of the folks in a group shared about smart contract. It was back in 2016. This is still considered pretty early in the day. And when I heard about an idea that, when two people enter into an agreement, the agreement can self-execute based on certain conditions, right? So for example, if me and you enter an agreement and I say, if tomorrow it rains, my insurance company is going to pay you $100 because your house might get flooded. Something like that, right? Like, let's say that happens, and we can use the weather network to say, oh, tomorrow it is getting raining. Oh, wow. Like, money can just flow right from my insurance company's wallet into your wallet without, because typically if you think about it, you need a lot of middlemen in between. So I first heard about that concept, and I thought that was such a cool idea. I thought we're probably on the next wave of the next internet, we call it. I just started going to different conferences, all the meetups, all the books I can get my hands on. I decided to quit my law career and join the technology career.
Yeah, and that's so interesting because I think you're the third lawyer that I've spoken with who, once they heard about smart contracts, it just clicked. And they're like, yes, this is it. I need to go in this route because this is the future and it just makes perfect sense. And so, I think you were saying in the background, you were able to work with a couple of your friends and, as y'all begin to make Jaxx DeFi, you're working with people that you've been working with a long time, that you have that chemistry there, but then you also were able to come together with solving a major problem that is happening right now in the DeFi world, which is Ethereum, unfortunately, is being very slow and is being very costly. And so we're seeing this DeFi boom going on right now. And Jaxx is trying to be one of those go-to sources to help solve those problems. So can you just give us a deeper insight into everything that you're building and working on and why people would come and use Access DeFi?
Absolutely. So we are building two things, essentially. One is we're building the infrastructure layer, which is if you're building a house, that's the foundation, right? So right now, we're actually looking at, so our tech co-founder, Jin, he's looking at different blockchains and seeing what is good. It's almost like you're playing Lego and there's different pieces you can get from different blockchains. So for example, we've already announced that we're using EOS as our foundation block.
Okay.
And the reason we're picking EOS is because it has higher transactions per second that's actually tested. EOS actually is really interesting. They did a year-long fundraising, basically. And because of it, they got a lot of community support. They have a lot of funding, which enables them to build cutting-edge technology. So their chain, in terms of their tech stack, is a lot far more advanced than Ethereum, because Ethereum was back in 2014. And, in the whole crypto world, 1 year is probably like 10 years in the normal world. Right. Because of just how fast the life cycle is, the product cycle is. So that's why we picked EOS as our foundational infrastructure layer. And then we're also looking at Cosmos. We're looking at Polkadot. We're looking at Aeon. Aeon is something that my tech co-founder has co-founded before. So he knows it inside out. And Aeon is known for interoperability. Yes. And the interoperability piece is really interesting as well, because right now in the whole DeFi space, you do have 90% of all the projects on Ethereum, but you also have projects on Polkadot. You also have projects on, Cosmos. And won't it be cool if you have an ecosystem where all these chains can start talking to each other from a very fundamental layer, like layer one? So that's why I think Access DeFi is getting people interested and very excited, because we're building that layer. We're having faster transaction per second, cheaper fees, and also we're bringing Wall Street capabilities onto the chain. So if you think about Ethereum with their smart contracts, where all the developers can use the smart contracts and build different softwares, now you can have access contracts, which are DeFi contracts. These are contracts that's just for financial functionalities, such as stop loss, such as margin trading. All these sophisticated trading functionalities can now be brought onto the chain itself without any central parties to go and execute. So if you put together, the faster speed, the interoperability, and the DeFi special contracts all in one platform, I think that's a lot. Yeah, it's very special. It's non-existent on the market right now.
For sure. And I mean, you're hitting on three major elements that are challenges in the space. And by finding a way for it to be a lot smoother, and especially the interoperability piece, I think, and for everyone listening, it essentially just means that you're making it very easy for various platforms to talk to each other without there being a lot of friction. And
exactly,
it's just almost like with when Apple and Microsoft and some of these other bigger players, when they created their infrastructures and their systems, they made it very challenging for them to talk because they want you to use their island. They want you to use their product. However, as you've gotten some of these things like Zapier and other things that help any and everything be able to communicate anywhere you go, they're very powerful and everyone looks to using them. So the fact that Access is creating something to help with solve that problem is very unique. But also, I want to dive a little bit deeper into the DeFi piece of it, of these extra cool trading opportunities, like you're saying with margin trading and everything else that you're speaking towards on that. So would you need to go through the Access platform itself to be able to execute these kind of complex trades, or how does that part of it work?
Okay, so first I want to touch on the analogy you use. Let's say Apple versus Android, right? You're absolutely right. If you're an iOS developer, you can build on Android. It's a completely different system that you have to work on. And same analogy works in the crypto space. If you're a developer and you're building on EOS, your app is not going to talk to, let's say, Ethereum or Polkadot or Binance.
Right.
So right now, if we all of a sudden have another software such as Zapier that is starting to build bridges between these different chains. Now the different assets that are already on EOS. So the whole financial world, there's a lot of lending, there's borrowing, there's trading, there's exchanges, there's all these different segments of finance. We call it the financial assets. Now you can move all these assets from one chain onto another chain because now they talk to each other. And the impact of that is massive because that's how you can get mainstream audience to come into the ecosystem. Because right now, if you think about, decentralized finance, people that are in crypto are very excited. When I talk to a cab driver or someone like my mom, they don't know anything about it, right? So how do we onboard the mainstream people? Because that's the world we're trying to build. We're trying to build a world where people are more empowered. They can control and manage their own assets without really relying on third parties. So that's why the interoperability piece is so important. So I just want to touch on that. Then, to your second point, in terms of the on-chain sophisticated functionalities. So when a user comes into the Access ecosystem, they do it through our Access token. That basically brings them into the Access ecosystem. And while they're in it, they can do different trading functionalities. So for example, they can mint the Access token and they can generate another token that you can mirror the real world assets, right? So they can mirror the real estate, they can mirror stocks, they can mirror indices like the S&P 500 indices. So you have all these different assets you can have in our ecosystem. And during that, you can trade. So for example, the margin trading, users can use their wallet ID as their identification. So your wallet address is your identification. You don't need to upload your passport. You don't need to take that awkward selfie, for these central changes. Nope. Because this is all decentralized, you don't have to do any of that. Your wallet address is just your ID. It takes you everywhere. And it will assess automatically, how much funds you already have in your wallet. And that will be used as your collateral. And we have a special algorithm that allows you to borrow against your collateral. And we're doing it in a way where we want people to do more with their funds. So we're not going to require a very high collateral percentage like some of the projects are doing in the market right now. We're going to just say, we'll do our best from a tech perspective to bring users the most amount of flexibility. So, to answer your question, yes, you do need to come into the Access ecosystem, but this is like the way we see it. This is going to be really the one-stop shop ecosystem where users come in, they can build, they can do all their financial trading services in our ecosystem, and then they can talk to other chains because it's part of our ecosystem as well. So it's going to be very exciting.
Yeah, thank you for breaking that down. And I think that's really cool. The fact that you'd be able to do some leverage trading with only having to use your wallet. Because as you said, trying to get on some of these exchanges elsewhere, there's a lot more hurdles. And for your experienced crypto trader that wants to just be able to get up and move as quickly as possible, this is definitely shining a light on that. I would think that something that would be interesting more on the front end, of course, is for your newbie or your person that wants to start learning about this, of how do you start to warmly introduce them so they don't come in and all of a sudden do a margin trade the very first time and be like, wait, what happened to everything, right? And so I'm sure that y'all have some things on the roadmap for that as well. But I think it's just very cool that you're able to service such a wide range of the type of investor that would come and use the Access.
Richard, that's actually a really good point. I don't think I explained it fully yet. So we are serving two types of users.
Right.
One is the sophisticated traders that, I was talking about. They know about the Wall Street functionalities. They expect the same thing in the crypto space. And a lot of those sophisticated traders, I would say, are more, institutional traders or just someone who has a larger amount of funds. So that's the first type. The second type are more your everyday users. And for them, because we're not just building the infrastructure layer, that's our stage one. Stage two is we're also building a user interface. So everything is already being built, right? For them to come in, it will just be, I would say, as easy as Uniswap. if you look at Uniswap, they have two functionalities, right? Yeah. You can stake or you can exchange. And once you get a hang of it, it's actually pretty simple to just use it. You just click a few buttons. That's good. You just have to, there's obviously that initial education piece, but once you get it, it's like, okay, it's not rocket science.
Right.
So I think our platform is going to be similar, like in a way that for the user, for the front-facing user interface, it's going to be, visually appealing. My background is also in product, so I'll for sure do something where it's like least amount of friction, least amount of button click, very easy for users to use. Because, when I think about someone like my mom, she doesn't really want to learn more. She just wants to know, okay, my money is safe and it's earning a certain percentage return. And it's a cool service to use. I think that's the initial hype really for that type of user. So that's a great point. I think we're servicing both users. It's just we'll probably service the first group first because we're more building the infrastructure they really need. Once that is all complete, we might open up our infrastructure to other developers to build as well. So we have our own dApp, and then they can also build on top of it, just like how Ethereum is. Anyone can use their smart contracts, and they can build their dApps.
For sure. Thank you for the expanding on that. I think that's really cool, and that roadmap sounds extremely interesting, and definitely looking forward to seeing how that all shapes out over time. Another question I just want to ask you on a broader sense is, there's an absolute explosion going on in the DeFi space right now. And, what are some things that you think people that are listening right now should be on the lookout for in the next, let's call it 1 to 3 years in this space?
Ooh, that's a very broad but important question. I think DeFi, and I mean the whole crypto space, is still in a very, very early stage right now. Yeah. And anyone who's already, exploring or already in the space is going to be considered the early comers. And I think the early adopters, it's part of their responsibility to, go and kind of tell their friends and family about it, because that's knowledge is power, right? That's the first piece that will bring more people into it. In terms of pieces that get me excited in the space, I think personally, I think staking is really interesting. And that's what we've seen. That's really what got DeFi to, gather billions of USD dollars over the last 6 months. It's a lot of staking, a lot of yield farming. Personally, I would think that when you stake, pick a good project to stake, right? Yes. Don't just stake without anything. Obviously, do your research, do your due diligence. Not all projects are created equal. I can only advocate for my project that we're doing things very responsibly. Can't really say anything about what other people are doing. But I do think that staking is an interesting and very powerful concept because it essentially replaces proof of work. And from a consensus governance perspective, some people are saying, proof of work is making everything fair and equal. It really isn't. If you look on Etherscan, in terms of the Ethereum proof of work mining, you have all these large pools that are basically gathering the computer resource that average person doesn't have. And so you're competing against someone with billions of dollars with a huge mining pool. That's not fair. However, proof of stake, that's also another reason we pick EOS. EOS have 21 super nodes, which are just basically super centers that other users can join, they can vote, they can share in the profit as well. But basically, each of the super nodes only have 2.5% of the entire network division, right? That to me is pretty fair. You have 21 super ones instead of 2 or 3 big ones that's dominating the entire chain. So from a consensus perspective, staking, I think, is the way to go because of that. And also staking allows the user to earn that return as well. So sorry, that's a long-winded answer, but
that's a great answer. Thank you for expanding on that. And just for anyone that's potentially a first-time listener, staking essentially is you get some coins or tokens and you put them to do, so it's proof of stake, right? So on chain governance, and by having it there, you get rewarded with more of that coin or token. So essentially, they're giving you more. So for example, let's say you have a coin that's worth $3. If you stake with this giant pool, let's say every month that because you have a certain amount in there, they reward you with 3. So every month you're getting 3 back. So you're constantly getting more. So if you have a good project, like Maggie was alluding to, your money's making you money. But if you get a project and let's say it goes down and it goes down over time, even though in the last year you've gotten, let's call it 20 extra of those coins, if it's less than what you originally got it for, then like it's virtually
worth
worthless.
0.
Right.
Exactly. Yep. And so the way I was explaining to my friend the other day is when you're staking, so when you're putting your coin in a project, you're one of the validators for the project. So think about it like a big 4. You're the KPMG or you're the Deloitte, right? Like you're actually doing the auditing work for this network. And in return for your work, you're getting rewarded with that token. And for Access, for example, we actually just recently launched a co-builder program where we're looking for people who are early believers in a project. And we're saying, for you to believe in us before our mainnet launch. And our mainnet is, so we're actually launching our testnet over the next month or so, which is very exciting.
Yeah.
Thank you. Maybe we'll do another podcast after we launch our testnet.
Sure.
But we're aiming to target our mainnet before the end of this year. So after our mainnet launch, we're going to be using the proof of stake, actually delegated proof of stake, the DPoS. And everything that I'm talking about, users can start staking. And we actually, because we want to be a truly decentralized project, 60% of our entire total token supply is going to be used for staking and for giving back to the community. So more than half of the entire total token supply is for users, right? Yeah, which is really awesome. So I think for early believers, pick a good project. Try staking. It's also a good way to learn about the ecosystem and learn about just how this works. It's a very important component of this whole space.
For sure. And again, thank you for elaborating on that. And I appreciate you dropping all this knowledge on us, telling us more about Access and everything that's going on, Access DeFi, and really exciting project. Can't wait to learn more about it. But before you leave, what is a final thought that you want to leave with all of our listeners here today?
Okay. So I think the final thought is that we are trying to push the boundary for blockchain technology. And, we could have taken an easy way out to build another DApp on Ethereum. We choose to do it the hard way, which is actually doing it from the ground up. And we would really like your support. I mean, we believe, supporting Access is supporting that next technology disruption in blockchain, in decentralized world, in decentralized finance. And if you want to learn more about a project, you can check out our website, which is axisdefi.com. We have about 20 different Medium blogs. We have a blog on what we've achieved just over the month of August, which essentially talks about how we closed our private round. We're on 5 different exchanges. We have all these awesome institutional investors supporting us, as well as retail investors. And we're also going to have probably a monthly update on where we are on our technology piece, on our mainnet, and on our team expansion. So if you want to learn more, if you want to check out a project, go to the website. And we thank everyone who is supporting us. And thank you, Richard, for doing this.
Oh, of course. No, I really appreciate it. And I'm glad you could share that information with our audience. But what are some ways that people want to connect directly with you or even learn more about everything that Access DeFi is going on with your social media? What are some different ways that people can connect outside of the website?
Sure. Okay. So the best way to contact me is probably on my LinkedIn. It's just Maggie, Maggie, last name XU. I think it's Maggie Sue JD is, or if you just search for co-founder of Access DeFi, I'll be the first one up. I would say I'm very active on WeChat because we have a big Asian presence and community as well. I'm doing AMA, Ask Me Anythings, almost on a weekly basis. And email would do as well, Maggie at accessdefi.com. So we're basically on every single social platform. But I think like if people want to learn more, we're very active on Medium, very active on our Telegram group as well. And the handle is always just Access DeFi or just Maggie at Access DeFi.
Gotcha. Well, again, super appreciate that. Everyone listening who wants to connect, you got your way to do that now. And of course, for everyone listening, stay cryptocurrent.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for listening to another episode of Cryptocurrent. For more information on this episode and all of our episodes, please visit us at www.crypto-current.co. Stay up to date with the latest news in cryptocurrency. You'll receive daily emails Monday through Friday that are personalized and curated content specific to you and your interest, powered by artificial intelligence. Are you an accredited investor looking to invest in cryptocurrency? Crescent City Capital can help. Go to crescentcitycapital.com for more information. If you're finding value in our content, please take 5 minutes to leave a 5-star review and a great comment. Also, please make sure to share this podcast with others. Hello, everyone. I hope you're enjoying the quality of this podcast. I can only thank my amazing producer, Andrew DeRitter, with DeRitter Productions, who has put this together. If you have any podcast, visual, or video needs, please go to DeRitterProductions.com. That's DERITTER Productions.com.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Cryptocurrent with Richard Carthon. We'll be back with more exciting developments from the world of blockchain and cryptocurrency next week. But until then, stay cryptocurrent.
Please use available exits now.